Hi guys, welcome to our last unit, welcome to our last section of the unit. This one's a really fast unit because we did a lot of this stuff previously. So here we go. I hope you find this pretty straightforward. The 5 examples I'm going to do are just like your homework tonight. I literally took your worksheet and hit regenerate, meaning make a new type of question. All right, so let's look at number 1. Negative 10 times the square root of p equals negative 30. Now, when you are solving these types of problems, your first step is to isolate the square root, meaning get that by itself. So my first step here is to divide both sides by negative 10. So I'm going to get the square root of p equals 3. And I know a lot of you probably already know what this answer is. But remember, to get rid of a square root, you square both sides. So I'm going to square both sides. Because a square root squared cancels out. Because really what you're doing right here is the square root of p, come on and focus, times the square root of p, right, when I square it. And what happens, come on, when you multiply the square root of a term times that same thing, well, you get what's left under the radical. So just as like a side reminder, that's not really part of the problem. So I get p equals, what's 3 squared? 9. Now, for these, you do want to do a quick mental check because sometimes you're going to get what's called extraneous, which we've talked about before. Extraneous solutions, which means that you solve the problem correctly, but when you substitute it back into the original problem, it doesn't work. So let's just do a quick mental check. I put 9 in here. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 times negative 10 is negative 30. So, yep, that works. That's my answer, and I'm done. Number 2, just like your homework tonight. So again, you always need to get the absolute value by itself. Not absolute value, sorry, square root by itself. And it is by itself, so we're ready to go. In this case, you're just going to square both sides. 8 squared is 64. And remember, when I square a square root, I'm left with what's under the square root sign, so 4r. To solve for r, I'm going to divide both sides by 4, and 64 divided by 4 gives me 16. So let's just check that in the original problem really quick. I'll just rewrite that. So 4 times 16 is 64. The square root of 64 is 8. That's my answer. Boom. Number 3. This one's kind of different. You have square roots on both sides, but they're by themselves. So in this case, you just square both sides. And what happens on both sides are the 2 square roots cancel out. And you have 3n minus 3 equals 2n plus 1. Now this is just a linear problem. So I'm going to subtract 2n from both sides to just get n over here. And then I'm going to add 3. I get n equals 4. Again, let's just check it in the original problem. And I'm just rewriting it because I don't want you to think the squared was part of the problem. Okay, so 3 times 4, because that was what we got, is 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. This is me just checking. And so we have to get 3 over here. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. Yep, that works. Number 4. Same deal. Got to get the square root by itself. It is. So I square both sides. This time we get r squared equals 30 minus r. Now this one's a little different because we have an r squared here. So based off of what we've done in all of our previous units for like the past 2 months, I'm hoping you are thinking to get all the terms to one side and then try to factor or use the quadratic formula. And that's what you want to do. I'm going to move all the terms to the left because I want to keep r squared positive. So I'm going to add r and I'm going to subtract 30. So I think this one's going to factor. Factors of negative 30 that add to 1 is going to be 6 and 5. I want the 5 to be negative and the 6 positive because I want a 1. So using the zero product property, this is going to give me r equals negative 6 and r equals 5. But again, I need to check each in the original problem. So let's do that. I might actually write this one out. So this is just a check. So first, I have to check them by one at a time. So I'm going to check r equals negative 6. So putting that into the equation, I have negative 6 equals the square root of 30 minus a negative 6. So that's going to be, I want to know, does negative 6 equal root 36? Well, square root of 36, the positive square root of 36 is 6. So those two equal? No. So that means r equals 6. Negative 6 is not an answer. You did everything correctly algebraically, but it's not a solution in the original problem. Now let's check r equals 5. I get 5 equals the square root of 30 minus 5. 30 minus 5 is 25, and root 25 is 5. That's true. So r equals 5 is your only solution for this one. Sometimes you will get 2, 1, or none. Our last one here, a little bit of a different setup. Again, the absolute value is by itself. I want to back up for a minute, because what if it was written like this? Because the one on the homework I think is written like this. So what if the problem was like this? Okay, first step is always to get the square root. I keep saying absolute value. The square root by itself. So you have to subtract the 5, okay, to bring us to here. Now I square both sides. On the left, you get 5v minus 29 equals, hey guys, you really need to FOIL this. You don't just distribute it in. So you're really doing v minus 5 times v minus 5. That's going to be v squared minus 5v, which is negative 10v plus 25. So again, you have a v squared. That means you got to get everything to one side. Because the v squared is positive over here, I'm going to choose to move everything to the right. So I'm going to subtract 5v, that's going to give me a negative 15v, and I'm going to add 29. So 29 plus 25 is 54. So I'm looking for factors of 54 to give me negative 15, and I believe you're going to tell me negative 9 and negative 6. When I solve these for v using the zero product property, you get v equals 9 and v equals 6. But again, I need to check these. And our original problem, technically the original problem, I'll write it out, was this. Square root of 5v minus 29 equals v minus 5. Okay, so we'll check it for v equals 9. So that's going to be 5 times 9 is 45. And 45 minus 29 is 16. 9 minus 5 is 4. So is 4 equal to 4? Yep. So 9 works. And then my last one, v equals 6. Let's just do some mental math here. 5 times 6 is 30. 30 minus 29 is 1, so I have root 1. 6 minus 5 is 1. What's the square root of 1? 1? That works. So this is a case where they both work. There might be one like this on the homework where you go to test it and neither of the answers that you solved for works. And so in that case, you would write no solution. So I hope this helps you with your homework tonight. Bye, guys.